Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to Day 3 of Ta'aruf Week Semester 1, 2021-2022. I am Sharifah As-Safira as your MC for this session, and together with me, Professor Dr. Rosita binti Muhammad Amin as your moderator for this session. As we are about to begin, I have a few important announcements to make. Firstly, please ensure your internet connection is stable for the smooth running of the session. Next, if you have any questions for the speaker, please write them in the chat box provided on the platform. Lastly, you are also reminded to fill in the IUM Health Declaration form provided in your Telegram group and chat box by the end of Ta'aruf Week. Each student is compulsory to complete it. Thank you for your kind cooperation. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Let's start our session with Furqan Al-Fatihah. Amin, amin, ya Rabbal Alamin. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are indeed honored to have Brother Rizwan Warisi, Brother Muhammad Zaim Nur bin Zaini, and Dr. Nur Azizan Chembi as our panelists for this session. All the panelists gathered here for the session that we call Disability Services Unit Session for Ta'aruf Week Semester 1, 2021-2022. All the panelists present for this morning really means a lot to us. We also appreciate Professor Dr. Rosita binti Muhammad Amin as our moderator for this session. Before we start our session, we would like to present a video prepared by the Disability Services Unit team.
Berbumbungkan angkasa ke laut, lantainya bumi dekat seribu. Setiap langkah perjalananmu belum berliku. Betapa berat mata memandang, berat tahu membalas bebanan. Belum sempat menitis ke pipi, tangisan kering sendiri. Berkali tersungkur, pandanganmu kabur, namun azam meneruskan hidup tak pernah luntur. Engkaulah perwira di medan derita, merentasi ranjau kehidupan dengan harapan. Luahan rasa derita jiwa pada wajah tiada rahsia, menunggu malam berganti tua, usah kau berputus asa.
Inklusif OKU di IPT. Sudah pasti ianya akan diteruskan Dasar ini penting bagi memastikan kemudahan dan sistem sokongan pendidikan yang berterusan dapat kita berikan kepada pelajar-pelajar OKU yang berjaya mendapat tempat di IPT. Dalam memastikan golongan OKU tidak terpinggir, Universiti Awam juga telah menyahut hasrat kementerian dengan menubuhkan unit perkhidmatan OKU yang berfungsi sebagai unit perkhidmatan dan sokongan khusus kepada pelajar dan kaki tangan OKU di universiti berkenaan. Unit perkhidmatan OKU ini melapor terus kepada naib-naib chancellor di universiti masing-masing.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, now I would like to pass this session to Professor Dr. Rosita Muhammad Amin. The floor is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much to our sister, our host for this event today. Alhamdulillah, we are gathered here today this morning to have a short briefing, on what the Disability Services Unit is all about. So I hope you know that our university is one of the universities that have a unit that caters and supports students and as well as staff with disabilities. Okay, so my name is Rosita Muhammad Amin. I'm a professor at the Department of Economics, School of Economics and Management Sciences. I think I would like to welcome everybody. So everybody is new here. So welcome everybody to our campus. Although not physically here, maybe for many of you, but in spirit, you are always here. So we welcome you to the family of IIUM. All right. Okay. So perhaps I can, introduce also the DSU. I'm currently the head of the Disability Services Unit. Yeah. So the unit actually was established in IIUM, was established since 2012. So it has actually been, almost 10 years of establishment. Right, so we have been around for quite a while. So among the few universities that have been having the unit for quite a while, and at the moment we have about 19 students with disabilities, including the new ones from CFS. Right, we have 18 students disenrolled in CFS. I think one of the highest number this year, Alhamdulillah. Yeah, and we have students and staff. Staff also we have about 11 staff with disabilities. Yeah, both from academic and administrative sectors. Yeah. Okay, so for our students and staff, if in case you are not aware, in Malaysia, we encourage person with disabilities to register with the Department of Social Welfare, Jabatan Kebajikan Masyarakat, and there are 7 categories of disabilities in Malaysia. So we have all 7 categories in IIUM. We talk about visual impairment, hearing, okay, and then we have speech impairment, learning disabilities, and then we have also psychosocial, right? Also we have multiple disabilities, So we have all the 7 categories in IIM, Alhamdulillah. And we try our best to provide support. So now when we talk about disabilities, we have here today our panelists, instead of maybe just describing about the DSU and what kind of support that we provide, I think it's best to actually listen to our stakeholders. Stakeholders here, of course, the biggest one will be our students themselves. All right, we have 3 panelists here. We have Brother Ridwan Warisi, a student from ICOL, Ahmad Ibrahim Kuliah of Laws, and then we also have Brother Zaim Noor from also Kuliah of ICOL. So we have ICOL dominated, Right, so we also have one more. We have Dr. Cik Azizan, Dr. Nur Azizan Cik Ambi, So she's from Kuliah Economics. So it's like economics and ICOL dominated session. All right. So if you were to look at all 4 of us, you look at me, you can see that I'm on a wheelchair, right? So it's quite an obvious disability. So I am a person with disability. I had polio when I was 1 year old. Okay, I was born healthy, but because of polio, it affected my neurological system. So I became paralyzed, and had to use wheelchair. But the rest of us, all the 3 of us, which one do you think has got a disability? They all look okay, right? Nobody has a disability here. Okay. So let me inform you. One of them has got a disability, but it's a hidden disability, right? So that is actually one of the issues in disability. We're not talking about disabilities that are visible alone. We're also talking about disabilities which are invisible, right, or hidden disability. Okay. All right, so it's okay. I would like to invite our first panelist, yeah, Brother Ridwan Warisi. Yeah, Brother Ridwan is our student from ICOL, and he is actually one of our students with disability. And if I can ask Brother Ridwan, thank you very much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So what sort of disability do you have?
So basically, I suffered a condition called amblyopia. It's where you have neurological condition on your eyes, which makes it very difficult for you to see. Even though I look like a normal person, I can't really see. Like you guy at the back, I only saw shadows of you. I can hear you talking, but I can't see you, like at all. Yeah.
Right. So person with disabilities like visual impairment, so low vision. Sometimes we describe it as low vision. Sometimes this, when you look at them, it looks as if they're looking at you, but they don't smile at you because they cannot see you. Your facial expression, right? These are the things that we need to learn about person with disabilities. Yeah. So perhaps, Brother Rizwan, if you can, share with us what are the challenges that you face as a student with disability in IIUM, right? You have been here for a number of years, so perhaps you can share with us some of the challenges that you face.
Okay. But first of all, I want to say thank you once again for having me. I would like to kick things off by telling you a story. It's a real story, a story of mine, actually. Imagine waking up every day feeling that, oh God, I'm alive again. Oh God, what I'm supposed to do today? So basically, that was the thing that I have to face every day in each part of my life. For being a person with disability, with hidden disability, because people see me as a person. They look at me like I'm a normal person. But whenever they whenever they react to me and they talk to me, then they will realize that I'm not actually normal. Or I think that saying normal is like a strong word. I'm actually like differently able person. So that is the condition that I have been suffering, or I have to face like each day of my life because no one understands me. So coming back to your question, one of the first or the main challenges that I've faced as a law student, as a person with visual impairment, is that acceptance. The fact that no one can understand you. No one can understand you without having to suffer or go through what you have been gone through. It's one of the challenges that you have to face every day. I'm going to give you an example. It hits different when like you hear that someone who has COVID, he died, and then someone in your family or someone you know or someone you love to die. It hits different in your heart because you know that, oh, this guy, or for the first instance, oh, this guy died, or so what? And for the second instance, oh, this guy died and he is a part of my family. So it hits differently when you go through that stuff and when you only know about that stuff. So coming back to my point is acceptance. People can't really accept you the way that you wanted them to accept you. And people can't understand you the way you want them to understand you. Saying this is that when I am in law school, I'm still in law school. When I'm in law school, it's very difficult for me when I tell people that actually I have visual impairment, I can't see, can you help me? And then then they will say, okay, I will help you. And there comes a time when they saw you walking around like a normal person, and they will walk up to you and they will ask you, oh, I thought you can't see. So why do you jog? Why can you jog? Why can you run in the stadium and all? So that is one of the difficulties maybe for you. I mean, it's a normal question, but imagine having to answer this type of agitating question each day of your life. Like, for example, when you go back to your hometown and then your family relatives ask you, oh, when will you get married? So it's basically the same thing. But for me, I wouldn't say that my pain is harsher than other people, but that is what basically I'm feeling. So this leads to insecurities where I will feel that, am I accepted by the others? Or if, for example, if during a presentation or group project, can they accept me to be a part of their team, or am I a liability? So I always feel rejected. I always feel that I'm being turned down by people, even though they haven't turned me down yet. But then the feeling, the the social anxiety and social awkwardness that you have, that is embedded in your heart for so long, it has been suppressed in your heart. It's something that is so, for me, it's very unfortunate to happen to me. But then I'm glad that I have the pleasure of telling you guys, all of you, especially the new students, so that you won't be the problem, you won't cause problem, and you will engage with us. You can help us to go through this thing together. Okay, so next, among the challenges that I faced is law school in general. Maybe most of you know that law school could be intimidating. And there are like a crazy amount of workloads, and then you have like a lot of assignments you have to do. So imagine that for a normal person, it is intimidating for a normal person. But what about me, someone who can't really see, someone who has to depend on your hearing? Whatever your lecturer is saying, that is what you have to remember, because you can't watch, you can't see what they're writing down like on the board. You can't see that. So that's one of the biggest difficulty that I faced. But I'm so glad that I'm in law school. I'm not in engineering school, because to go, like, for example, if I have to go to the lab, I have to do like some other stuff which involves my eyes. It would be like detrimental to me. So even so, there are like a lot of difficulties. Can you imagine that you are in a law school, but you can't even read books, where is a part of an integral part of being a law student, that when you say law student, they say, oh, you must read books a lot, but I cannot really read books until and unless you take a picture, and then you will turn it into a PDF. Yeah, that's cool. But how about 500 pages book? And that's only for one subject. But what if you have like 7 subjects? Can you imagine having to screenshot or take a picture of each and one of the pages? It's like it's very difficult, but I'm glad that I don't have to do that, because we have the help of DSU. They will provide us with volunteers to do that. But knowing that I have to go through that stuff is pretty sad, and it's, I would say, like a terrible thing to happen to a person, let alone a person with disability.
Thank you very much, Brother Ridwan. I think that is an sort of an eye opener for everyone. Thank you for sharing. The insight is very important for us to know what it's like, to be having your condition, right? So that we can actually imagine and try to put ourselves in your shoes, right? And for us, and also to all of us here, whenever we see somebody, we don't quickly judge them, right? So sometimes we quickly tend to judge people, when people don't respond the same way as others, right? So Brother Ridwan's case, in the case where he has visual impairment, we also have students who have who are autistic, right? So students who are autistic, they also do not respond in a regular way to others, right? But Brother Ridwan's case, we can see how difficult it is, for him to actually undergo his studies as a student, right? And we try to assist as much as possible, right? We provide iPad, right? So, and also students, a buddy to also assist you, right? And we also, this is where, we need the help of everybody to assist our students with disabilities. And, for those, especially with hidden disabilities, they face a lot of stigma, because there's a misunderstanding that people think that they are, capable like anybody else, but, in actual fact, they are actually, facing a lot of issues. So if you have a wish list, and what would be your hope in terms of, that you can share with our audience? Yeah.
Okay, first of all, I would like to have, embedded in every person, that they want change, because change comes from yourself. If you don't change, then you can't change the society. You have to start from yourself. And saying that, one of the best way for you to change is for you to have awareness, about disabilities. And for me to say that, to be completely honest, even I don't understand the pain and suffering and the challenges that is faced by a person with different disabilities, just like me. For example, I'm a visually impaired person. I can't really comprehend how a person who has hearing disabilities can go through their life. So the first thing is for us to have awareness. We need to have not only just basic understanding, but you have to understand. How can you understand this? By engaging. You have to engage with us. Again, you have to. DSU is not meant for the disabilities alone. They're meant for everybody. For you to come in and talk to us. You don't just go up to us and just interact. You need to engage with us. That being said, I would like to say that for academic purpose, I would really hope that my friends, my fellow friends, especially for you, the new students that are listening right now, that you have to be accepting of us. This is not the one-size-fits-all rule. You can't apply that one-size-fits-all rule. We are different, but we're not like weirdos. We're not weirdos. We're just different. We are like the differently abled person. You have to you have to accept us, because life is hard as much as it is. So by being accepting, it really helps us a lot. You have no idea how much it means a lot for us. And then also you can also give us help with spiritual, in the spiritual sense, and also other stuff. But individual alone can only do so much. We also need like authorities. For example, university that should regulate regulation that cares or caters the person with disabilities. And it is very important that all the regulation must think about how this one person or person with this specific disability, how will it affect this guy? How will it affect this girl? Because if you propose, or if you amend a regulation that doesn't care about the person with disability, then this will only cause hardship for us. And so, and also I would like to say about person with disabilities. When you have disabilities like me, honestly, I came out late. I mean, in my third year, and so I would like for you to reach out to us. Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed to be a person with disability. It is okay to not be okay. This is not the Squid Game where when you messed up, you will die. This is real life, and people will actually help you if you go and ask for help, if you go and reach out for help. I really think then, and I really hope that things will change for the better. I'm positive about that, even though, needless to say, that there are gonna be challenges, there are gonna be like some hardships ahead, but I know things will come to better. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brother Ridwan. I think that's very important messages to our students, to everybody. Engaging is very important, right? Offering the help, rather than waiting for the person to ask for help. I think there is also a very critical element there. We know for sure, I know for sure also as a person with disability, right? So, okay. So if you have questions, you can actually, put your questions in the chat box, and we can later address the questions. And just to let you know, we have sign language interpreters as well online. Okay, they are operating from the parliament because they have to do interpreting there. So you can, if you need sign language interpreting, you can look at the screen, which is actually pinned, okay, to the screen, inshallah. Okay, so let's go to the next, our second panelist. Okay, our brother Zaim Noor. Okay, brother Zaim has been a wonderful volunteer for DSU, okay, as well as for our club for students activities. I am Ibnu Umi Maktoum Club. So he has been our volunteer since year one, since he enrolled in the university, right? So perhaps, if I can ask Brother Zaim, if you can share your experiences, what is it that motivates you to, really be istiqomah, in assisting, people who are needy, especially person with disabilities, please.
Okay, thank you, Prof. I think that's a kind of bit exaggerating. I'm not that istiqomah, but I'll try to be lah. Okay, so Assalamualaikum. I'm Zaim Noor. I am the volunteer for DSU and also IMAC Club for the past 4 years. And honestly, I have to say this, I'm moved actually by what Brother Rizwan has mentioned, because it represents one of the stories that many of the unspoken stories that we have on campus or on campus, especially when it comes to the pandemic. Because when the pandemic hits, we are unable to coordinate and liaise with each and every story that we usually get at the end of the week, at the end of the day by our own buddies. So where it all started, I started just the same as you, except I was in the CAC or IUM Culture Center back then, where me and my friend, we kind of scouting what are the clubs that we want to pursue since our CFS level. And I'm going to repeat this after 4 times I'm being here for every other week, and I think it's a really important point for you to just take some response and react and build your life from undergraduate life, So it started when Prof. Zita was kind of giving the briefing at the CAC. It was a wholesome briefing actually. And the last 10 minutes, I was talking to my friend Afif over on my right side. I mentioned that, Afif, how about we kind of give this a try? Because back then we don't even know what is disabled at all. We just were in the spirit that, okay, we want to volunteer. We want to finish, we want to excel in volunteerism and keep on going where the spirit that we had in CFS back then. So immediately at that time, Prof. Zita, back then, he only provided the email. And then starting from that email, we emailed that Prof. Zita and also the unit at that time, my name and his name. And eventually, the week after that, we got called to be a committee for the annual grand meeting, if I'm not mistaken. And from there, we all started where we kind of joined in to be the committee first as the IMAC, and slowly being serap ataupun like included in every main operation, I would say, in the DSU, especially when it comes to the volunteer of the students. And when it comes to volunteer of students, knowing that we have all the 7 different type of disabilities that we have on campus, it really pushes us to be more knowledgeable and to shoulder more responsibility, because knowing that we are the able-bodied person, or in the right context, I would say we are normal, I would say. But again, it kind of shoulder the responsibility to get to know them more, to be more knowledgeable in terms of like, for instance, like autism, Down syndrome, everything. So we have a group of students that we deployed sometimes daily, monthly, according to the niche, and we paired the students, our able-bodied students like me to a disabled student, and the student will keep up on the track record for that particular disabled student on a time-to-time basis lah. So I still remember there's this one story. It got me moved a lot, and it kind of built how I built myself in terms of this volunteering and my service to the disabled students. So among of the people or disabled students that I usually will assist would be the our full blind students, which brother from IKHS. And then we also have this one brother, brother Arif, who is also an autistic student. He has autism. And back then, there's one night I was kind of chilling in my room, somewhere around 11 p.m. I was about get ready to sleep. Suddenly, I got a call from Porzita. Assalamualaikum Zaim. Can you please immediately go and check Arif in his room, because he is not answering his phone, and that time nobody is around him at all, because at that time he is staying in his room alone in the block, because that's the only place that he feel comfortable. And when that happened, Prof also mentioned that something triggered him, and he might have some tantrum. So at that time, I kind of rushed around 5 minutes, just prep, rush to his room, which like my room is like Mala Usman. So his room is Mala Farouk. So I went there, I knocked the door very vigorously, but he won't answer. So at that time, all of this overthinking, flooding my head, like what happened this, what happened that, I'm the first respondent, and that you just don't know what to do. So what's the right thing to do? And then, but the panicking is not the thing to do right at that time. So we try to coordinate with Awesome, we try to coordinate with the principal, the fellow and everything. And eventually, Alhamdulillah, at that night, somewhere around 11:40, 11:45, he managed to open the door. because any moments before he doesn't open the door, anything can happen. And he lives at the second floor. Plus, there's no grill at the second floor. Okay, so these kind of circumstances that you just make you wonder whether the university or the institution that the person of disabilities are in are truly accommodating to the facilities, and whether they truly feel accommodated and included in the university environment. Because if we're talking about, okay, a person with disability like Prof. Zita who is in a wheelchair, right? Then usually the road is not properly maintained. That's one thing. Access to classes, broken lifts, unregulated or not same size for each toilet for every kuliah. So what are the true reasons? Because right now we are trying in a disabled-friendly campus, we are trying to accommodate more people in. But again, our facilities and our regulations, like Reza mentioned, that we make our policies or if our service or even our program itself, we don't even consider, or what if a person of disabilities will watch our event? Is the closed caption on? Do we have a sign language interpreter? Or even the venue is accessible or not? So these are the particulars that it might seem very much simple, but honestly, it makes a lot of difference, and it really shows the organizer or even you as a person. So being a volunteer, I do not have the direct way for the policy making. And sometimes I only be able to manage to do the little things. But again, the thing that we can do, that I believe that we all can do is actually to engage in the discussion and to promote awareness. Awareness in terms of not to pity the disabled student itself, but to make them feel included and truly help them in the true sense of helping. We're not, oh, I'm helping them because, oh, they're disabled, they with the wheelchair, everything. So it kind of shows you like, okay, what type of responsibility you want to gather and to what extent. Because sometimes it could, the people, I'm sorry to say this, but sometimes they're not props, okay? Person with disabilities are not props. So you cannot just put in a video just because, we have a need just on our label, they're there. But again, the true sense in the how they living quarters and everything, even the management, they're not being included at all or partially, okay. So these are the kind of being a volunteer. I perhaps in the bottom up approach, we've seen a lot of things, and we've made a lot of voices actually. But again, when it comes to the top, somehow in the middle it got cut off, and where it shows our true responsibility, again I would say, and acceptance to this community, because there's no use if we were to bring in more people, but again at the end of the day, when they in more people, it will jeopardize their life more instead of we helping them. So being a volunteer, I would say, a part of Istiqomah, we're all trying, but again, in the bigger sense, we have a lot of huge responsibility being an able-bodied person to assist not only in terms of academics, but again in terms of the off hours things that sometimes back then when Ridwan was in quarantine, he unable to go out, so we might have to buy food for him, even we have to stand by some food just because sometimes he has a gastric. So being a parent with a buddy, it really opens your heart and opens your mind. Okay, that's actually another person that I have to take care of, and he's not that far from me. It's just that could be like beside my door, beside my room, could be like my roommate. So if you guys want to help, the most nearer community that you guys can find actually on IIM is the person with disabilities, the disabled students. And as much as they are, Rizwan mentioned that the person himself need to reach out, but we as volunteers, the able body, the normal person, we really have to bring in and lend our hand first, reach their hand and get them in. Because I remember what Brother Salim mentioned, that the person with disabilities, if you want to get to know them, is to engage with them and have a casual conversation first. You don't just think, okay, I want to do survey with you, I just want this, and that. No, it has to have the human touch. So I think that kind of sums up the volunteer in comprehensive. I hope so, bro. Okay.
Thank you very much, Zain. That's a very comprehensive. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have asked more, because that's actually the very reason, because he's got a lot of experience, for many years has been assisting, has seen how our students, no matter how much we try to assist in providing the facilities, it is not sufficient, because our campus was built, in a time whereby there was no regulations yet in terms of the compliance to the standards for building standards for accessibility, right? So a lot of things are very slow in terms of upgrading to ensure that accessibility is there, and catering for the needs of the person with disabilities. But then this is where the students come in, right? The student volunteers come in, where we cannot provide, where the constraints, right, and the limitations. This is where the support comes in, right, in order to assist our students with disabilities, so that they can perform at par with, and they can also be included in all the activities on campus, right? We're talking about the objective of IIEM, right? We want to achieve and produce balanced graduates, yeah. And this balanced graduate objective is applicable to all students, not just the non-disabled students, but also to the disabled students. But if they are not, if I know they're not capable if they're not able to participate in all the initiatives and activities, right? So how can they actually achieve those objectives, right? So this is where, when we talk about inclusivity, we have to think in a very simple way, whatever that is accessible to a person who is non-disabled must also be accessible to a person who is disabled, all right? So that's where we talk about inclusivity, right? Real inclusivity. Thank you very much, Brother Zaim. It's very important for students actually to be aware of these issues, especially because we know that you are future leaders, you are our hope, right? So, because sometimes we talk about, is this actually not just an IIUM issue, it's actually a country, nationwide issue, in terms of, keeping up with the facilities and, catering to the needs of the person with disabilities. It's not one size fits all. It's never that. It cannot be that. So and how far, our country has been able to achieve all the policies. We have the 1% policy for employment in the public sector. It is not achieved, right? It was actually introduced in 1988. Now, 33 years have passed, and yet now only 0.33% of the disabled are being employed in the public sector. So what does it mean? So where do we go wrong? Because we talk about issues. We talk about barriers. We're talking about, there's this distinction between impairment and disability. A person may have impairment, but they may not necessarily be disabled. They become disabled because of the barriers, right? We talk about environmental barriers, as well as the second barrier is even the worst, is attitudinal barriers, okay? The inability or the refusal to understand, all right, the issues faced and the challenges faced by the person with disabilities, and how do we as Malaysians, as members of the campus community, rectify that. Okay, we all have a responsibility, and this is, as Brother Zaid mentioned, the easiest way to actually do a good, because it's really in front of our eyes, right? So the person who needs our help is just there, and this is the easiest source of thawab, okay, that you can actually accumulate. When it comes to this, it's not just the scroll that we seek for, but we also seek additional things in life, where we also try to reach the best in our hereafter, inshallah. Yeah. So thank you, Brother Zaim and Brother Rizwan. And now we can go to our next panelist, Dr. Nur Azizan. Okay, Dr. Nur Azizan is we call special parent. She has actually a daughter with multiple disabilities. Yeah, so let's listen to Dr. Azizan. So she has, we like to see the parent's perspective, and her daughter now actually, is in boarding school. So how does she actually manage that, and what are the concerns that a parent have? Okay, to part with their child to go to a boarding school. It is similar in a way, that for parents of our students with disabilities, when they send their children, to the university, what are the concerns that they might have? Please, Dr. Azizan.
Okay. Assalamualaikum. Okay. Assalamualaikum. First of all, thank you for having me today. Yeah. Because this is a Ta'aruf week, so I'm going to, at least, first welcome all of you to the university, and I hope that one day some of you will be joining my class. Yeah, I'm a lecturer in the Department of Finance, Kuliah of Economics and Management Sciences. Okay, basically, it's not easy. Yeah, as a parents. Okay. actually it's not easy, yeah, as a parents that have this as a parents that have a daughter that have multiple disabilities, to let them stay in the campus like with those normal kids, why? Because of sometimes we afraid, to tell you the truth. It's not easy, yeah, because in my case, my daughter, yeah, she's under the category of multiple disabilities. She's having problem with her eye, and also with her hearing. So she's under the deaf blind category actually. So and even though in her programs, yeah, she's in together with those with the hearing problem, she can use sign language, but somehow I've already, teach her on how to use the lips reading method. So Alhamdulillah, she can communicate with me, but of course, in terms of vocabulary, is not as good as others. So, like our brother said that, sometimes you look normal, yeah, because people thought that, she looks normal, but sometimes, when you really look, when you realize that there's a weird thing when she do not respond to your call and what, then people start to realize that, she's having problem with hearing. In my case, my main concern when I first time, when she managed to get a place to a boarding school, when she's in a form 2, in her school, actually, it's not easy for us, yeah, to have a school where you need to live together with normal kids, but then yet because we don't have a lot of schools like this, yeah, for example for hearing problems, so therefore students they come from far away, so therefore they need to have a schools with a where they need to stay in the boarding school. So Alhamdulillah, like my daughter, even though we stay 15 minutes to the schools, but because she feel lonely, she don't have a lot of friends, yeah, because not many people understand, it's not easy to communicate with her, so she feel lonely. So at the end she asked me that she wants to stay with her friends, because most of them in the hostel. So I tried to apply first. They reject me because of we stay very near to the school, like 15 minutes drive to the school. But then yet she really insists that she wants that. So I applied. I apply again, and Alhamdulillah, she managed to stay in the hostel. But because they don't have enough place in that dorm. So she is being put with the whole dorms, the whole kids in that dorm is a normal kids, and she's under the disabled category, and it makes me worry so much, on how she can stay and can they understand her well. So it's not easy. So, but then Alhamdulillah, yeah. Normally, when you look, when you have a very good support systems. For example, not only from in terms of the facilities, but also the environment. That means the acceptance. That means when I found that many students who stay in the hostels, I mean because in their schools they get use of TK, that means pendidikan khas, that means those under the special category. Then and another one is a normal. So they keep on, using that term. So I also get used to use that term. Yeah. So she said that, don't worry. Yeah. Normal always help me. So she said that to me. So and the first day I sent her, I don't feel good. At night, I'll go and visit her at night, and she's in the musalla during that time, because they need to have they pray together. So I'm quite worried about her, and she said, "Please go back. I'm okay." And I can see that many normal kids try to learn sign language, and they are so happy when she can communicate with them, and at least then it'll be easier for them rather than they. In order to learn sign language from the mute is not easy, so therefore they are happy when she can translate whatever that whatever mute friends say, and they learned good sign language through her. But yet after 2 weeks, when I'm handling my class, I'm in my class, I received a call from, again, Alhamdulillah, there are one student, a sister, that means her seniors, call me and said that your daughter is crying. And they said that we are sorry that, they are friends who actually, because she said she talked only to anybody that she feel comfortable, but then other than that she don't talk. So there are some in the hostels try to tease her to really listen to her voice, so what they did, when she's in the musalla, they pull the the scarf, and to make sure that to hear her voice. So due to that, she don't feel comfortable to stay in the hostel, and I feel like crying, because I really thought everything is okay at the beginning, and now because if she can't stay, she will be lonely in the house. Where's the support systems? It's not going on well, so it's not easy for me. So, but then I tried to be calm. So when they pass the phone to her, and then when I can communicate with her, I said, "Don't worry, they just want to tease you. Mama also like that before in the hostel. Somebody's will try to actually they want to make friends with you. They just want to hear your voice. You have voice, isn't it? So, but because you seldom talk, so that's why they are doing that. But don't worry, it's okay to cry," I said to her. So, and then other than that, I really needs a support system. In my case, in the class, she's with the those with hearing problems only. So therefore, in the environment, even though in the schools, it is in the we are talking about integration schools, but then yet, of course, he gets along. Most of the time is with those students with hearing problem, but yet I also realized that among them also they are like comparing, because some of them they can hear very well, but they just mute. So in terms of vocabulary, it's okay for them, but then for her, she's having problem with her eyes. It's not easy for her to write, and other than that, she also having problems with hearing. So quite slow, but I always encourage her, and what I did as a mom, I try to create awareness among the kids. Please treat others well, because how you want how you want others to treat you well, that is also what you need to do. So as a mom, I really hope and I really wish all of you, the new members of IIUM, you should have a good attitude. You should be good Muslims. Whatever that, if you have a chance, and you need to create the chance to get a reward from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, try to lend your hands, assisting them, and inshallah, the good things will come back to you in many sense. Inshallah, that is what I've experienced.
Thank you very much, Dr. Azizan. I think that is a very, profound story that you have shared with us. so these are the things that parents face, right? And these are real, experiences, faced by our students with disabilities. We hear stories in the school time, they get bullied, many times. I hope you're not one of those people bullying them, right? So, inshallah. So, but that's the thing, that's the thing. It's very important for us. You may wonder, why is it that this briefing by DSU is not really talking about, the support that we're giving? All those things you can get from our website. Okay, so you can actually go to our website DSU under the IIUM website. So those things, very clear, you can read. But the issues of creating awareness and empathy among our students, this is the most difficult one that we need to actually address, and this is what we are doing here for 1 hour, sharing with you, the real experiences, faced by our students, yeah, by our volunteers, by our parents, with children with disabilities, yeah. And my experience as well, as a person with disability, I can see the difference when the Malaysian society, sometimes they are less accepting, yeah. But when I go abroad for my studies, you can see the difference in terms of how the society's acceptance, on the diversity, and the person with disabilities, they treat us, even the body gestures, doesn't show any kind of rejection, so body language is also very important. Sometimes we don't say it, but the way our facial responses, our body language sometimes is negative, towards person with disability. So these are the things that we need to look for, right? So I hope many of our students can also offer their time to become volunteers for DSU, and Brother Zaim can train, right? So we can train our students, to become buddies. We can train them how to understand person with autism, can train how to assist and guide students who are blind. We have one blind student, yeah, totally visually impaired. So and thank you very much. Unfortunately, we don't have time to entertain the question. There's only two questions from a student, but it's okay. We can actually maybe try to respond to that sister later on, inshallah. Okay. So if you would like to become volunteer, I think the easiest way is just to email us. Okay. DSU, very easy. DSU@iium.edu.my. Okay. You won't go wrong. Okay. You will go to our email and we will respond to you, inshallah. Okay. So with that, I think I would like to thank again all our, panelists to a very insightful sharing session, which is very, very much needed. Some, for the very first time, I also hear it for the very first time. Yeah. And it's also a very eye-opening, stories, and something that we need to think about, and try to and try to think how we as an individual can make a difference, in their lives. Okay, inshallah. So with that, I would like to pass back the floor to the MC. Okay, thank you very much. Also to the audience, I hope you have learned something from this session. Okay, I wish you all the best, and I look forward to some requests from you to become our volunteers, inshallah. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you to the panelists and Professor Dr. Rosita binti Muhammad Amin for the insightful sharing. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of our session. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to take this opportunity to express our gratitude to our panelists, Brother Rizal Warisi, Brother Muhammad Zaim Nur bin Zaini, and Dr. Noor Azizan CMD. Also, not to forget, our moderator, Professor Dr. Rosita binti Muhammad Amin, for leading the sharing until the end of the session. And I would like to thank our panelists for their willingness to attend this event. We would like to apologize for any shortcomings. Before we end our session, here are a few reminders for you. To all students, I would like to invite you to visit the Pavilion website for the virtual booth exhibition, and you may use the talk chat in the virtual booth exhibition to ask your question. I would also like to remind you to fill in the attendance form provided by the committees in the chat box. Thank you for your kind cooperation. We will now end our session with Tasbih Kafarah and Suratul As. Thank you and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
It's a common actually. You should get in next year.
Itu graduate kan untuk